was such a great episode. Tiffany is a highly skilled practitioner, and we covered a range of various topics from keeping your energetic space to divinity and staying connected with yourself and connecting with the divine source in all of us. I really like spending time with Tiffany. This was a really easy podcast to do, and I think you'll like it too. So sit back with whatever you're drinking, and if you're in Colorado or whatever you're smoking, enjoy this episode. This is a really good listen. Tiffany Johnson specializes in the use of non-physical energies as life tools. She has been in the energy work field for 17 years, conducting workshops and offering treatments for her clients all over the world. Her workshops include subjects on, but not limited to, personal space, grounding, energetic shielding, energetic tuning, and many others. Her mission is to help people of all ages become comfortable with their own abilities as they move through their lives and the world. She helps us connect to ourselves by bridging the gap between the things that happen and why they happen. And with this, she is able to give her clients a sense of understanding. Tiffany, welcome to the Human Experience. It's an honor to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So, we did have a little bit of a technical kind of thing, but we're here now,
Mm.
and I really just you have this really warm energy, and you seem to have these natural abilities. Let's just dive right in. What's your story? How did you get into this stuff? How did you learn about your abilities?
How did I get? I was born this way, in all honesty. Um, I really don't know any other way um, of being. I've always seen energy ever since I was a kid. I think the first time I realized that no one else was seeing what I was seeing or how very different I was probably in about third grade. And I had gotten into a little tiff, if you will, with one of my friends, and she was being very mean. And I said to her, I said, I know why you're doing this. And I read all of her energy and things that she had never talked about. She just looked like a deer in the headlights.
Headlights, yeah.
Looked at me and said, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Because it's right there. It's all right there." And I was like motioning to her body and to, her head. I said, "Everyone can see it." And she just kind of looked at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
And, we're in third grade, so this is a little odd, conversation to begin with. And I looked around and everybody had deer in the headlights. And I was like, "Oh, wow. So, what?" And she just kind of looked at me, and we quit being friends after that. And that was the point where I realized that I was different, and nobody was seeing what I was seeing.
Wow.
And yeah, that was pretty pretty intense. And she just
That's definitely interesting. So then how did you learn how to like hone your abilities? You learned, you're in third grade. You find out through a friend of yours who's no longer your friend that you have this special thing happening that isn't happening to other people. Like fast forward a bit, 10, 20 years later, how do you, focus? Like what do you experience? What happens to you?
well, I think from that point on, I had just different things happening. That kind of made me aware of what was actually going on with me. Like my grandmother died, and all of a sudden I can see her in a different place in my mind's eye after she's dead.
Hmm.
So there's that. And then I had an uncle who was sick in the hospital and looked at the energy in his body and could hear his voice saying, "Don't don't tell anybody," because I saw an infection in his intestines, and I heard that he has a choice. He can either live a little bit longer, or he can die within 2 to 4 weeks because of the infection. And he was just looking at me, and he wasn't saying anything to me. And I was like, but I could hear this whole conversation going on between him and whoever else was talking to me at the time. I didn't know who that was. I just assumed it was the angels.
Wow.
And he died about 2.5 weeks later from the infection. So he had
Wow.
made his choice. Yeah, that was intense. So I've had quite a few experiences introducing myself to myself. Along that so I can't really project 10 years out too much because there was so much stuff like that. So as I got more comfortable being able to read it and started to kind of play with it a little bit, where um, I kind of could finish people's sentences. I knew what they were thinking because their thoughts were so strong. There's such an energetic projection when people think strong thoughts,
Hmm.
easy to pick up. It's like a microphone on them. So it got overwhelming, honestly, and I really struggled with it. And I tried to turn it off, and I couldn't turn it off. It would pop back on like 200% stronger, and it was really frustrating. And at some point, I just started having really weird visual. Um, um, like nightmares, I'd call them, where
Hmm.
you close your eyes and you think you're meditating and you're in this altered reality, and it's like, and I wasn't taking drugs. I didn't do that. I didn't need to because I had enough going on as it was.
Right.
So at one point, I was like, okay, I need help, and I prayed to the angels, and I said, please, please, God, help me understand this, because I'm going to lose it. I'm just going to lose it if I don't understand this. So, they've, sorry, I'm stuttering.
Oh, no worries. It's okay.
I ended up moving to Boulder, Colorado, and in Boulder, Colorado, I found a Psychic Horizon Center
Hmm.
that's founded by Mary Bell, and I love this woman. And I walked into her aura healing clinic, and she just kind of looked at me and gave me a smile, and I knew I was in a safe place, and that I had been delivered
Hmm.
to the place I could get a grip on my abilities and understand how to work with them. And so she gave me a lot of tools, and I spent quite a bit of years, probably, gosh, I took every class that they had
Hmm.
so that I could, understand all these different aspects. And it was a lot of fun. She's great. She keeps things light, and she keeps them simple in kindergarten, and she has a lot of love and joy and a lot of playfulness for all of her students.
I heard that's really interesting. It's really intriguing. I've heard that there are like three levels. Like this was put very basically, but there are three levels to being psychic. The first level, you have no idea what's happening to you at all, and you kind of just experience all these other kind of sensations, and you have no idea what's going on. The second level, you understand that you are picking up on something that other people aren't picking up on, but you don't have any control over it. I mean, you can kind of filter what you choose, to perceive, and what you don't choose to perceive. And then the third level is kind of like a hologram, where this sort of image appears, and you can pick and choose like what information you want to retrieve, which is, I guess, the most advanced. So it sounds like you're experiencing this sort of holographic version of being able to access just information.
Um, I would have to say the hologram or holographic projection had been there the whole entire time. Um, I think each one of those phases has a whole lot of depth to them, as far as that is a very simple way of putting it
Yeah.
in my personal experience. Yeah, I don't think that whole holographic projection ever goes away. I think what happens is the more I became accepting of it and not afraid of it, and understood it better, and could play with it more from a joyful, lighthearted space, it became easy to navigate and easier to navigate, because essentially that's the energy that I'm looking at is from. the divine or source or spirit or however you want to define
Right.
it.
Right.
So once you meet that energy with the energy that it is, it just is right there for you,
Yeah.
willing to do whatever you're ready for in that moment. But it's definitely there's such a grace with it because, if you will, the angels or your spirit guides, your higher self, know fully well that you need an adjustment period and then a gradual incoming of information for
Yeah,
sure.
that's smart. I like that you kind of meet, this divine without resistance, and the more you fight it, the more challenging it really becomes. So where at this point, you have these abilities, and you start learning how to kind of hone them, and so where at what point do you realize that you want to start helping people?
Oh, I did the typical thing, where most psychics are like, "Ooh, I have an ability. Ooh, let's go help people." Right? And ooh, let's make money at it too. And a lot of my friends who were in my classes at the Psychic Horizons were off, starting their own centers and trying to make websites and phone calls and trying to really get their psychic reading business going. I was kind of put off by it, to be honest with you. I just didn't know if that was my work to be offered. I tried it; it didn't go well. I think only because of my own shortcomings with it. So I it took me a bit to figure it out because there's so many people running out there doing it. There's so many different flavors of psychics. There's so many different flavors of clairvoyance, mediums, channelers, and I was kind of like, okay, well, how can I be real and authentic with this?
Right.
So I went through a whole nother phase of kind of the three levels that you said, okay, I have this. Now, what do I do with this? And what does that look like? And um, putting yourself out there as a person who can read energy is challenging. It's kind of like putting yourself out there as a, WWF wrestler. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do I say to
Yeah.
you? How do I approach you? How do you have your advertise yourself? you know,
Oh, I
and
can imagine. Yeah.
yeah. So it was. I went through a whole nother phase again with of trying to integrate it and get used to it, and being okay with being called a psychic and a clairvoyant. Because for me, having felt different my whole entire life, I was always trying to fit back into the box, and the box would never let me in because my energy work would always show up, or they just could tell something was different about me, so I didn't fit into the mainstream consciousness. I have I have a great knack for calling the white elephant in the room really loudly,
Yeah.
and I want people to pay attention to that white elephant when I was younger. So that wasn't helpful either. So you call people out on their stuff, and they're like, whatever, and they'll walk away. They don't want to hear it. It's a
Yeah.
whole different level of meeting people where they're at, and what they can hear and what they can have, with putting yourself out there, because you have to meet yourself with who you are, where I'm at, and how do I offer that? Yeah.
Yeah, I really like your perspective. I've talked to other psychics, quote, and I don't know. There's an air, and there's a sort of authority, and I don't feel that with you. I don't get that with you. I don't. It feels more clean, feels more pure. I mean, if that kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today. Um, so let's get right into it. Let's talk about what is, for a person who has no idea. They're thinking, and they're talking about energy. They're talking about electricity. In the wall or something. Like what is energy? Like what is it?
Wow, that's a juicy question.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to answer that too. Um, okay, so I'm just gonna kind of come from where I come from and um, my experience with what is energy. Um, Give me a moment and I'll
Yeah, no worries.
get the words together here for a little bit. Um, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about how I relate to energy and how I work with energy, because energy is a pretty loaded word too. It gets thrown around a lot, like synergy and
Mm-hmm.
all those kind of words. I think for me, the energy is, it's kind of like, if you will, the verb essence of spirit.
Okay.
It's the intelligence, the wisdom of the divine, the creator energy in all of us that comes from a divinity source, comes from the ultimate creator of all that is, all that has been, and all that will be.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that energy again is, it's so accessible to everyone. I think a lot of what I try to do is keep the woo woo language out so that people, I can talk to everyday people, and they have no idea that I do energy work because of the words that I choose, the energy I choose to present it to them. Again, meeting them where they're at, describing it in their language in terms that they can understand. Because energy is so pliable that way, where it meets you where you're at. What do you need? What do you want in that moment? And it is that divine essence in verb form, is that what that is to me, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay. Let's probe into that a little bit further.
Okay.
Um, so I think in my short learning, I think that people develop blockages in their energy and their auras, their chakras, and um, is that something that you see often? These sort of blockages.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If you're going to go down that line with describing energy, geez, that's another juicy one. Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
um, all of us have, okay, so there, yes, we have energy blockages in our cells on the physical level. We have energy blockages in our chakra system, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We have energy blockages in our meridian systems. I'm an acupuncturist, so I see that too. But for me, what I see often is that when the spirit is distressed because of how it's created its reality in energy, via thought form, via emotional form, via habitual behavioral patterns.
Right.
All of those are energy too. So we create our reality because we are creator beings, from that have the source of the divine within them. We create things, and immediately energy will attach itself to it and it'll go out. And sometimes we have negative thoughts, or what we deem evil or bad, or lower frequency energies, like you date somebody, you get your heart broken, and you're like, oh, I'll never do that again. Right? Oh, yeah, you will, because you just put it out there. Hey, universe, I never want to do that again. It's like, and they'll meet you with negative. If you put that negative energy out there, the universe will meet you with negative energy. And yeah, you'll go through the same thing again. So there's a little bit of a dance there of how energy blockages get created,
Huh.
if that makes
Interesting.
sense.
Interesting. So okay. So how many? there's what? There's seven primary chakras. Is that correct?
Yeah, in most systems there's seven.
But is that
Um,
is that just a paradigm? I mean, do we actually have these source like sort of vortex like light projecting things connected to our endocrine system and all of our main organs? I mean, that's you perceive that, you pick that up, or
yes, for me, in my experience with the chakras, they look kind of like, the kaleidoscopes, how they're long and you can spin them and they change colors.
right?
That's what a chakra looks like to me in the body. They have apertures at the front and back of them, and they are very much connected into the physical organs. For me, the main seven chakras are part of the physical form manifestation of the divine creativity.
Okay.
We have a lot more of chakras that go way above us. Um, I don't really want to get into that,
Okay,
but
let's talk about the primary chakras.
yeah.
Let's talk about what do you see like in the treatments that you've done and the people that you talk to. What do you see as the most active?
Oh, it depends. Like for the last couple of years since 2012,
Hmm.
there's been such a spike, if you will, and an increased activity
People are
within the
waking up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and part of that is those chakras are starting to get churned, and so there's a lot of old stuff, old ways of being that don't serve us that are just getting literally pulled out of us, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so I'm seeing since 2012, there's been like a sequencing going on. They started. Not they, sorry. Cancel, clear, delete that. um,
The
the
mysterious
chakras,
day. Yeah.
yeah. um, the Oh, yeah. Gosh, I don't even have a word for that. But in each individual, I have noticed that it started at the first lower three chakras and then worked its way up. And it started over again on a different layer, deeper layer, and it's working its way back up again.
Hmm.
So it's like this purging that's going on for everyone's chakra system. And a lot of what I've seen is the cleaning out, honestly, of what does not serve us, like thoughts like, you know, um, you didn't think you were good enough at that. So and so said they didn't like you. They didn't have a reason, but they didn't like you.
Hmm.
We take these on and go, ooh, I must be bad. So you just like matched that negative energy that came in. When in all actuality, none of that's true. You're not bad. So what if that person doesn't like you? It has nothing to do with you. That's their stuff, right? So all those places and those experiences that we've had, or where we've doubted ourselves and said, "Oh, I just don't know if I'm good enough," or I don't know if I can do this," or any of that self doubt or self worth, all that stuff is getting purged out.
Right.
And my feeling and what I've watched is that because it's just not true. It's not the truth of your being. We came into this world perfect, um, perfectly created. There was nothing wrong with us, and there still is nothing wrong with us. We are here to learn, and we are here to help each other out. And by that, we contribute to what I call learning lessons. And we get to learn and shift out of non truths and keep reaching up for the higher realms, the higher energy, the higher frequencies.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if that happened. Like, just one day you just kind of click out of your body and like, oh, congratulations, you just ascended, and you know that might be fun. I wouldn't
That's not how it's
mind.
going to work, though.
Oh, well,
I mean, you can choose that way, but that's not how it has to work.
okay, that's cool. I'll wait it out. I have time.
Well, I mean, okay, let's go there a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. So what's happening is as we are cleaning house, emotional house, physical house, spiritual house, if you will, cleaning out the chakras, cleaning out the meridians, cleaning out the cells, and we're creating the space for a higher frequency in all of those parts of us. What we're doing is we're actually taking the physical body out of a dense dimension and allowing it to start to vibrate. And so what happens is that it becomes more of a light body, of an energy body.
Hmm.
And that is part of what people are calling the ascension.
Right.
A lot of the whole stories and the myths around ascending was like, yeah, you're going to hit enlightenment, you're going to have done so many good things in your life and have done the right things, and that's going to earn you an ascension certificate so you can take off out of your physical body.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. We actually have a choice now by choosing to let go of that stuff that doesn't serve us. The negative thoughts, um, all those untruths of like, I don't like myself, nobody likes me, I'm not
Right.
good
Right.
enough,
All
I've
the
lost my mind. Yeah, all that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
As we let that go, like I said, the body starts to vibrate, the cells start to vibrate at closer to the divine source.
Hmm.
This is where you get close to God, if you will.
So the
And
the old paradigms of this kind of self-hate and like the lower emotions, lower frequencies, they're being sort of phased out. Is that what you're saying? That
yeah,
these new higher level emotions, like these higher level like truth, love, and like all of these other things that mean so much more and resonate so much higher. That what's kind of happening right now? That these old paradigms are starting to go away and these new paradigms are appearing?
yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, and so in that, you at some point will get the physical body vibrating at such a high frequency that doesn't match those lower frequency thoughts or paradigms, or if you will, like 20 years ago, the mainstream consciousness
Hmm.
that doesn't work anymore. Things like that. Even, I mean, you can even go on to say that our money system, that kind of consciousness, is not going to be able to. It's not shifting, so it's going to collapse in on itself eventually. The paradigm of war. That's not going to be necessary because that's all about ego. That's about I want what you have, and I'm going to fight you and kill you to give it to me. Okay,
Right. Right.
really? That's that's not helpful, you know. So those kind of paradigms are shifting as long as we are mindful about our attachments to those paradigms and we let those go. You'll be able to choose, do I want to stay in this body and keep going higher and higher, or do I want to leave this planet and take my body
I'm
with
out of
me?
here. I'm
Yeah,
peacing out
exactly.
later.
Right.
But for me, I've noticed that I right now in my life I cannot have negativity around me whatsoever. Like if there's someone who is just a negative, I mean we all kind of know someone like that, and
Debbie Downers.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it just it's at a point. I mean, before it was like, oh, whatever, and now it really bothers me to a point where I have to leave that space completely. I just can't be around stuff like that at all. And I've even started disconnecting people who are like that and like out of my life completely. And I really think that this is part of the process, disconnecting these old connections and forming these new ones.
Yeah, I agree. It truly is. Because where we're headed is such a joyful sense of, if you will, contentment, peacefulness inside. Or it just does not resonate with the negativity anymore. And, actually, in all actual, blah, blah, blah. It's actually a gift for, if that doesn't serve you, being around that negativity. As long as that separation is done with integrity and as much as peaceful as possible. It's a gift to the other person, and this is what I was talking about: how we help each other out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
This person who is the Debbie Downer sees you going, this just isn't acceptable anymore, and they're like, wait a minute, why isn't this acceptable? This is how we've been operating. Like, no, it's not. Yes, it has been, but I choose another way, and that choice is key into shifting into the uh, higher dimensions, if you will, or the higher frequencies, or just the more positive energy. But it gives that gift to the person who is like, well, they won't play my game, right?
Right.
That I'm not getting served this way. So, and if it happens enough to them, they might just say, maybe I should choose a different way, and maybe come back to see how you had done it or somebody else had done it. What was the choice they made and why did they choose it? And so, this is where we help each other out, like that. While that might not have felt all that great, you, in your truth, stepped out of it, and that person is left to make a different decision or stay in that paradigm. It's, we have free will, so there it is.
Yeah, let's stay with this. I like this where we're going. Another thing that I've noticed is my intuition is just on full alert. Like I am just so aware, and I'm picking up on so much. Like I'll know, and I don't think I'm psychic, but I maybe we all are, partially psychic or something, but I just lately I feel connected to everything, and I will, know who's calling before they call me, or like you said, I know what a person's thinking before they say it, and just my
Psychic.
just my intuition as well is just so on point with the choices I need to make in my life, and I've found that if I don't follow my intuition, if I don't make those choices, it really hurts. It's really painful, and it really really hurts really badly. So yeah. What's your
That, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no no no? I was what's your take on that? What do you say about that?
I say rock on. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Seriously. Like, um, no, truly, because you have enough awareness to know and to sense, just very aware of what is best for you. And you truly are being guided. But you could say by your higher self, by your own, and own spirit, soul in your body. I mean, however you want to put it. That's what's happening to all of us who choose to let go of the old, that which does not serve us. And my abilities are kicking on. It's a little disconcerting at times because I'm like,
It's
what?
overwhelming.
That was fun. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but I love hearing when people say that to me. I've heard it quite frequently over the last couple of years. And I am excited, to be honest with you. The more people who choose to allow themselves to expand like you're doing, and to continue to heal and to express itself in the way it's meant to be, your flavor of the divine is meant to be expressed and show up in the world. I'm very excited about this because for me, it is kind of like we're returning back to, there was a time from in my world, there was a time on the planet where we all were like this. We could telepath with each other. We were very transparent with each other. We were very honest, and much integrity and dignity in what we said, how we treated each other, how we were. We totally were embodied divinity, an amazing. It is not. It looks like the 3D form we have right now, but it's more. more expanded. It's more closer to a light body, if you will, or an energy body.
Hmm.
And it was just amazing. It's amazing peace. It's amazing, just love and respect for each other. And just such an allowance with grace for everyone to be who they are, and a peaceful, not to say that there wasn't, disagreements and things like that, but there was not to the level that we've had it for, gosh, for a long, long time on this planet. So when I hear people say, like you did, that my abilities are kicking on, and I just am so excited. It's just a confirmation to me that there are more and more of us choosing to return to our own light that we were created as, and to keep choosing that and keep being present with it. Can you imagine if everyone walked around being in full integrity, full transparency, full accountability?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
you know but it just, and there is some level for me that makes it feel like a remembrance, and it's such a heartfelt remembrance. Like I just, it's so good, so good.
I've always thought I was like an alien and I was put here or something. And people who know me closely, I always talk about kind of going home. This sort of
Yeah.
like ephemeral, sort of like out there, weird kind of home place. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, you
it's like
do.
this home. I don't know. And so when I ask people about, what do you think home means? What's home to you? And they like give me their address or something. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, I know exactly what you mean. For most of my life, I have not felt, I feel like I've dropped on the wrong planet. I'm like, I don't understand these humans. I don't get it. What am I doing here? Like, what's the point of me being here? I'm completely different than everybody else. Already know what half the people are going to say to me. What's the point of this? I don't get this. Why am I here? Right? And I've always wanted to go home. And I'm like, please just take me home, right? Because can I be done with this now? Because this hurts. This way that people are operating is just so much suffering. It
Yeah,
hurts.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like you said before, if you don't align with those decisions that are what's best for you, it hurts. It does. It physically hurts, and mentally hurts, and emotionally hurts. It spiritually hurts. Hurts your heart. It's just painful. So yeah, no, I can honestly say that most of us are not from this planet.
oh, well,
I mean, most of the light workers are
oh,
not, because um and that's a whole different subject.
yeah.
but but it's this sense of, if I want to bring it down a little bit more simply, for just to kind of address it, because a lot of people feel like that, at least a lot of people that I know, and a lot of the workers, light workers and energy workers and healers that I know, they have this sense of like, I want home, I want to be home. And we each know what that is in our heart, and I think we can access it, if we allow ourselves. But it's a bit of a catch 22, because once you know what home is and where you come from, you can either feel completely at peace, knowing that, okay, someday I'm going to go back there and I know what it feels like, and I can carry that with me, on this planet, in my heart, in this life, on a day to day basis. Or I've seen other people, because I have actually taken people to the planets that they're from, back to the soul groups that they came from, so that they could remember that home. And it is one of the most beautiful abilities I've been given, to witness that,
Wow.
to witness people find that peace in their heart. It's an amazing, it's like that moment when someone dies, the right before they die, or maybe the day before they die, they just look energetically beautiful, right? Because they know they're going home.
Hmm.
And when I've taken people on those journeys, that's exactly what they look like when they come back. Some of them are sad because they miss it, but I try to help them remember that they that will always be with them. They can always go back. I can always take them back to visit if it's that intense, or but now that you know that, it's there's a great peace that you can have from being
So,
consciously aware of it.
so if there's this magical place that, where can shine and I'm beautiful and whatever, I I can go there, and I go there when I die. I mean, why are we here? What are we doing? What is the point? I mean, I mean, I feel like a lot of us are just completely clueless about what we're doing, and we're so lost, and it's so difficult to really pick something and choose, and I don't know, just the thought escapes me, how to explaining it escapes me, but what can we do to align to our truth? How can we get home faster?
I don't know if there's a faster. I'm pretty sure there's not a faster. I've asked that question, and I get a very smart ass remark, and I'll hear the comment of like, "What? You think you're gonna be perfect, and so then you can just leave? You think that's what this is?" And it's like, okay, no, you know. Um, oh, what is the purpose for us being here? That
Well,
is a
well,
that's a
not
good
just
one.
that's a pretty large question. So,
Yeah.
what about something easier than that? What about, what can we do energetically to help us on our journey? Like, when we feel the suffering that we feel, are there tools, exercises that you know of that maybe you can teach us?
Um, Let me think about that second question for a little bit. Let me try to answer that first part,
Okay.
because I think that's an important, very important part for everyone. To put it in very simple terms and just layman terms, for me, to really, it comes down to making a choice. We all have free will. We were built like this. It's part of the whole system that we came into. And it is key because every single decision that we have to make, we are put up against what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose love? Are you going to choose fear? Are you going to choose doubt? Or are you going to choose certainty? And yes, it has a very distinguishing duality, polarity to it, dichotomy to those things, but it comes down basically to just those. The other key thing about making that decision is where you're going to choose to make these decisions from. Where are you going to choose to create from? Are you going to choose to create from your ego? Are you going to choose to create from the divinity, the divine spark in yourself? Are you going to choose to create, if you will, with the God light within you? What are you going to choose? And I think you put it very well, very, very well when you said, when I don't make those decisions, it hurts. And when I do make those decisions that are very much in alignment with what you consider your truth, it's very probably joyous and very feels really good. And you feel like you're in the flow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. To keep, I think what we all can do is keep making those decisions that keep us on that path of no suffering. And we create our own hell. The heaven that we can create heaven or hell for ourselves, and we're really good at it. And that's a choice. That's an absolute choice. And so when we choose and put our intention to create heaven on earth, and that's a very cliche statement, but there's a reason for that statement, because we are responsible for that. And we're the ones who make those choices. And we're the ones who create the reality and set that energy in motion, for not only ourselves, but for those around us. We're like a drop in the water. When we make a choice, a decision that is in alignment with our truth, that ripple, we drop into the still water, and the ripples off of our drop, we don't know where they go. We have no idea how far that ripple will go, right? But it does. And on an energetic level, that reaches out to the whole entire consciousness of this planet and into this planet. And I would even dare say out into the galaxy. And so there's just this vibe. And the more of us that choose to create from the divinity, the divine light in us, not from our egos, to stay in alignment with our truth, what we believe that to be, and set our intention from there, and put our attention on keeping that energy in motion forwards to making our dreams come true from our heart, not from our ego. Ow, wow. That is what is perpetuating, this, you know, heaven on earth, if you will. We can do that. We can create that if enough of us continue to choose that. But I think on a day to day basis, just for everyone who is new to this stuff, that is what it comes down to, is making those choices with clear intention from the divine spark in yourself, knowing that's the absolute truth, a gut decision, and you know it in your heart of hearts. Go with that,
Hmm.
and just making those choices in everything that we do.
Hmm. Wow, that's really, really profound. I'm trying to take notes, and I'm sitting here just drawing like little pictures and stuff. So, um, wow, I'm blown away by the depth in which you're explaining this. This is amazing. Um, I'm trying to remember. Okay, so do you think that we are, by fulfilling this truth, do you think that we're on some sort of like karmic mission that, maybe by following this intuition and following this gut feeling and following our quote truth and doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing, maybe we're releasing these karmic contracts, and by doing that other people are also like seeing that we're doing that and then following suit. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, because we're making a different decision. We're shifting our paradigms, and we're shifting, what we choose to be in alignment with, which is key and really important to shifting karma. That's a pretty loaded word, but I'm gonna just answer your or address what you said
Okay. Yeah.
right
Let's
there.
roll with it.
Um, but yeah, yes, I forgot what you said. I just
No, I was
blipped.
talking about karma and our choices are and having a mission here, like you know,
Yeah, yeah.
fulfilling this sort of contractual karmic obligation, whatever it may be, and maybe for our highest good and everyone else around us as well, and the end goal being sort of ascension, and so it seems like what's happening with the 2012 phenomena and people waking up, like we are moving into these sort of perfect bodies where our chakra systems are activating, and we are clearing out all these attachments and all these negative things that have been in our lives for so long suddenly are disconnecting, and suddenly they're gone. And I mean, I feel like people are seeing changes in their lives so quickly now, so much more quickly than ever before. And it's interesting. It's a really interesting time to be alive. I mean, I'm quite grateful for it.
Hmm. Yeah, me too. It is a very interesting time, and I can say that we chose this lifetime because it was going to be interesting, and it was going to be juicy, and At some point, it's been said that we actually started writing our own history on the higher realms, if you will, because we enough of us on this planet had chosen to shift our paradigm from the old to the new, and just enough of us believed that it was like this just isn't it. There's more to life than this, more to life than this, bump and grind on a daily basis. There's more. I just know it. And there was enough of us that believed in that. And because of that, at some point, we actually started writing our own history. Like, okay, humanity has now shifted to the point, and they're vibrating at a certain frequency so much. There's enough of us on this planet that are in alignment with that. What can we create? Where do we go from here? And it's been a very, very juicy last probably about 10, 15 years to watch what we chose. It's for me, sometimes it was really nerve wracking. And, because you like go, oh, we're tipping. We're going to know we didn't fall. All right. Way to go, guys. you know?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of that. Um, it is. Time is accelerating because we're shifting our paradigm. Because when time, well, that's a whole different topic I don't really want to address right now. But let me go back to the mission thing and how I mentioned before that we were helping each other out. We all did this together. We had to do this together. There is the saying that it only takes just one, right? And the whole Jesus story where Jesus was just one person and look what he did. There's that, very much so. And I think also what's new in this new paradigm is that we are not meant to, um, what is the word? Well, let's take out the not meant to and just talk about the meant to.
Hmm.
We really, by example only, are what gets more done on an energetic level, on a shifting a paradigm level, if we just are the example and not purposely trying to be the example, but if we just live our lives in alignment with our truth and the divine, then that's that's part of that's awesome. That has a huge effect, way more than if any of us actually opened our mouths. We do have to open our mouths, so we do need to be mindful about what we put out there because that's energy too.
Yeah.
We create things and feelings and emotions in others, and we send thoughts out with our words. Words can be very powerful. But we are in this together. As far as being karmic, I think most of us on this planet at this time did it on purpose. We came here during this time because it was going to be juicy. It was going to be a hell of a ride. And it's been an adventure, and it still is. We're not done. We're still creating our history, our future, one day at a time.
Wow.
But we did come here to help each other. We can't do it without each other. The more of us, like I said before, the more of us who get in alignment with why we're here is just it's kind of like let's jack up the electricity volume, woohoo, it's going to be like, yeah, it's just awesome. I hope that addresses the
So,
mission
so,
thing.
so with that, we are at the bottom of the hour. We're gonna take a break, folks. This is the human experience. We're on with Tiffany Johnson, and she is just absolutely destroying it. I love this. Love this conversation. I'm loving it. So we will be right back, and hang on because we're gonna go deeper. And this is the human experience. We're back. I'm Xavier. I'm here with Tiffany Johnson. She's blowing my mind. This is amazing. I've wanted to have this conversation, Tiffany, for so long, and and I and kind of like you just said, I talk to my friends about this stuff, and um and yeah, we talk about it, but there's a wall. There's a point where it doesn't
it doesn't really help anymore to kind of talk about what we're talking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, I think in this space, I think it really gives us a chance to really just get out, like what our message is. And so I'm so happy that, you're here, and I can feel my chakras spinning. And um
Awesome.
one of the things I was going to ask you about was, um, it's so important for us to have people like you here in, facilitating this sort of, process. It, I've talked to other healers, and um, I don't know. There's something about it, and I know it seems like everything is sort of an energy game, right?
Yeah.
And and the winning scenario is if both parties are kind of walking away feeling good about the transaction, the energy exchange, whatever it may be. Like whether you're trading a good or you're buying something, you should feel good about it, and not not later that after the hypnosis wears off, that you feel like shit because you got ripped off.
Right.
So I think in dialogue and in exchanges in our everyday, we should be able to feel like we're helping one another, that we're gaining something that is beneficial for both of us, not only just both of us, but a sort of synergy, a third energy, like a third higher kind of energy. I mean, can you flow with that?
Yeah, I can flow with that. Yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it. Um, how I perceive relationships, any kind of relationship, is where you have a me, a you, and the stuff between. And the stuff between is what you co-create with that person, but also that's where the divine or spirit or that the motion movement of energy, divine energy, gets its place if the space is allowed for it.
Yeah.
And how you co create that with someone is based on those decisions on a day to day basis. So, yeah. The tricky thing about that is our culture, at least in America, is all about give me what I want. I want what I want when I want it.
Right
We're kind of
now.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're kind of like an egotistical 19-year-old, like, I got this. You're on your own. See ya. And that's not co-creative. That's not mutually supportive. And it's very much of creating an independence and a very big flavor of separation from other and from source. Source meaning the divine, your definition of God,
Hmm.
however you want to put that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that creates a serious amount of separation, and that's not where we're headed. That's not what we are about. Um, just in human nature. That's not what we're about. We have our moments of being selfish, but we're also healthy selfish, but we also need to work in community. We need each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the more we can head towards, like, hey, we're in this situation. How can this be beneficial for both of us? And sometimes we have to be careful with the good win. We have to be careful with that because sometimes the gift is the uncomfortableness when you feel like you've lost, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
because
But
because what you're gonna, yeah.
before we go there, let's. I was
Okay.
trying to segue into this. I want to talk about parasites. I want to talk about people who are parasitic. They are vampires. I think the most dangerous people that are the ones that appear, to be otherwise. They're narcissists. They're psychopaths. They're possessed. Who knows? But they exist. There are people who exist to infiltrate, what you're doing, your evolution, your personal evolution, and their goal is to, you know, screw that, up as much as possible. So how do we recognize that? How do we defend against that? And I know that, you or I think it seems like you have this sort of, everything is learning, and yeah, even through bad experiences we can learn. I get that, but I also want to be aware, and I want to have control. I want to have a feeling of control of who's in my space. I want to be able to recognize, you know, when these people are around me. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Boof. There's a lot of thoughts about different parts of that. Um, yeah, okay. Let me first address the first part, the whole people who just feel like they are bad or evil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so I'm fascinated as an energy worker to understanding how did someone say like someone who has schizophrenia, how did that happen on an energetic level?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the spirit soul in that person's body to get them so fragmented that they've invited other beings in to their space. They're no longer senior in their space. They're not sovereign in their space. What happened? And like I'm fascinated by the energy in mental disorders and psychological syndromes
Mm-hmm.
because of this, because it has such an impact on the soul, spirit. I'm using those words in the same kind of
Okay.
space
Yeah.
because I don't want to go into the whole discussion of defining either one of those because there's so many systems out there that separate the two and put them in different parts of the body and yada yada. I'm
Yeah.
just covering
Understood. No sweat.
covering it all by saying soul, spirit, in the body.
So.
Um, so what? So when you encounter someone who is seemingly a vampire, or seemingly an energy sucker, or someone who just does not have good intentions towards anybody. For me, what I do is I try to back up and I go, okay, this is a form of spirit. Why is it here? And every spirit soul, I believe, for the most part, and there are exceptions, but for the most part, came from the divine. Okay, so if that's true, then there is a spark in that person somewhere in there that is the divine light. And if it's crowded and corroded by negative energy or bad experiences or trauma, or maybe that person's been through just some serious hell in this lifetime, right? It's all in their space, like we were talking about before. They are just clogged with negative, dark energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when people who are trying to get rid of all that negative energy, they can immediately sense the darkness in this person, right? And we forget that there's a spirit soul in there somewhere, but they're wounded and they're carrying a story just like we're carrying a story. And just to say hello to that person, to that light in them, kind of shifts the whole dynamic of like you being a victim, or them being a predator, or you not having power and they've got all the power. It really shifts that paradigm. I like to tell myself when I start feeling like maybe I'm getting a little egotistical, or I'm getting a little out of touch with why we're here, why I'm here, what the point of this is. And it's like I say to myself, I look around the room and I go, we are all masters in our own right. We are all equals. We're all here for a reason. We're all a very specific flavor of the divine who needs to be here. And that kind of levels the playing field for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets me kind of see the energetic stories of what's going on. And from that place, I can ground myself, get back in my body, be centered, notice where I'm engaging. Like, why am I triggered? Why am I having the reactions I am having to these people? And what is it about their story that is causing me to go, oh my God, I just got to get out of this room. I can't stand this person,
Right.
right?
Right.
What's happening there for me? So I check in with myself first after I've done my, We're all the same here. We all carry a story. I don't know what those are. Well, I do sometimes. Well, most of the time because I could see them. But for those who don't have the ability to see the energy, just to kind of say hello to that. Everyone's carrying a story, and the best thing you can do is just be kind and peaceful, and stay grounded and sovereign in your own space. So, because what that does is a lot of the reason why that person is trying to suck your energy is that they are in a state of lack or lack of. They think you have something that they don't have, which is not true.
Hmm.
They just believe it because they've been told that all their life that they don't have that. They'll never have it because they're a screw up or whatever, right? They
Right.
have that negative energy in their space. So they've bought into that story. It's not a true story, but they don't know how to get out of that story. And so, it's kind of like those of us who can shine a flashlight into the dark and say, yo, hey, I see you in there. It's really dark in there.
Hmm.
I'm not coming in, but I can say hello to you from out here. I'll use that same example. You say hello from your space. You don't go out of your space energetically. You stay in your space. You stay, oh, Capitan, in the middle of your body. You don't leave.
Hmm.
There's no reason for you to leave or have to leave. The only reason why we jump out of our bodies is because we've gone so much into fear, or we've so much gone into triggered trauma that it throws us out. And that's something for us to look at, and something for us to learn about ourselves. It's like, ooh, wow, Joe Schmo over there just threw me out of my body. Why did I allow that to happen?
Right.
Because Joe Schmo, yes, may have tried to do that on purpose energetically, but it's like, why did I give him permission?
Right. Right.
Why did I give up my power?
Right.
Why did I leave? Who is he to tell me that I need to leave my body? No way. Right?
So the
So there's a lot
first
of that.
so the first thing that you do is you look when you experience that, you look internally and check yourself. Is that what you're saying that you recommend? Or
Yes.
yeah.
Because if you're not, like I said, El Capitan in the center of your space, anybody can come in. It's an open target. It's kind of like taking all the juice, all the milk out of a glass. Like, your spirit, soul, your consciousness. If you take yourself out of your glass, that's an empty glass. Anybody can come in. Anybody's going to come in if they can or if they want to. So the more you can stay in your glass and fill it up with your energy, the less you're going to have reactive reactions to those vampirish people, to those people who are trying to throw you, to those people who are trying to control you. And they're going to keep doing that because that's a game they want to play with you. That's the energetic game. It's like, how much can I get control by making other people afraid of me? It's the old paradigm.
Right.
And the more of us that can say, you know what, that's crap. I don't want to play that game anymore. I'm going to choose to either walk away from you, or I can say this to you, whatever needs to be said in a very neutral, diplomatic way, or maybe not. Maybe it needs to.
So I have some friends who are pretty aware. I don't hang out with people who I just I so my friends are, they're in tune, and they get it. And I sometimes I hear a lot of stuff like, oh well, today was such a rough day. I just can't be around anyone. Or it feels like everyone is just taking my energy today. Or like I just need to get away from everyone so that I can recharge. And that's something that I hear a lot from a lot of my friends. And so, there's something happening there. And yeah, okay, let me check myself, but I have to go to work tomorrow. I don't want to lose my job. So, what can we do to kind of protect ourselves from those types of experiences?
That's an awesome question. I actually teach tools to people when I do readings for them on how to actually navigate this. Because this is it can be a very simple answer I can give you right now, and it can get pretty detailed pretty quickly. My first reaction is to say, what is it in you that is going out, reaching, or taking on this energy that's coming into your space? Where are you meeting it? And why are you meeting it? How
Okay.
does that, what is the benefit of doing that for
Mm-hmm.
you? And how does that serve you or not serve you?
Right.
I'll give you an example. Um, okay, this is really, this is a good one. I hope. um, so when we're in our, we have our personal space field, right? Or aura or electromagnetic field, whatever you
Sure.
want to call it. It's
Yeah.
all the same, different words, all the same. And in that, we have our energy. Our energy's floating around, and it's our personal space. When again, when someone, or let's just use the love example, when we like someone, we have a tendency to reach out of our space energetically into their space energetically and start like just getting close to them energetically.
Mm-hmm.
It comes back to me for the sense of separation. We are so looking to reconnect on those levels again that we are willing energetically to go into someone else's space to find it, to get it, to have that connection, right? Because you always hear when people are dating, they're like, I just didn't feel connected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what does that mean? What do
Mm.
you mean you didn't feel connected? In what way? Did you have a great conversation? Well, yeah. And you're physically attracted to this person? Yeah. Okay. So then what? And it's like we're looking for that reconnection being met halfway. It comes back to that you, me, and the stuff in the middle. Sometimes our personal space goes into that stuff in the middle, and that person's space comes into that stuff in the middle, and now we've got a big energetic muck mess,
Right.
right? And so we start giving each other our stuff because we care. We want to feel connected, right? There's so many reasons why we take other people's energy in. Like, okay, I can help you. I know what this is about. I'll take this on for you, or I'll hold this for you, and that's good. No, it's not good. You just brought someone else's energy into your space. They have no business being in your space. The only two situations where people have any business being in your personal space on an energetic level in my world is sex and when a woman's pregnant. That's
Wow.
it,
Wow.
right?
Well, I can say that I tend to do that a lot. I mean, not sex or pregnancy, but I tend to project a lot, and so yeah, I do project myself out, and I start to pick up on other people, and it freaks me out, and more of it. I'm just trying to control it. Like I don't even know that I'm doing it, and
Hmm.
I end up doing it, so it's very subconscious, and it's kind of like breathing. So I don't. Yeah, that's difficult. So okay. So we in this exchange, we are meeting this other person in a negative sort of space, and the first question to ask is, why are we doing that?
Hmm.
Why are we even going there?
Yeah, what are you
Or
looking for?
right, right. So go on. Let's keep digging through this. This is interesting.
Um, okay, so before I'll use an example of myself. Before I figured out how to control my energy, because I could read people's thoughts, knew exactly what they needed, and could see where they were stuck and wouldn't give themselves what they needed. I did it. I was like, because I could. So
Right.
I would energetically go into their space, look at their story, say hello to them, and go around and muck about their space and help them get unstuck because I could,
Hmm.
right? That's a mess. That's an energetic mess that sucks my energy out. And then I'm like, oh God, I don't want to be around that person. That person loves it. They just got like a boost of my energy, right? The problems got fixed. I told them what to do with their life and then they moved on, right? And then they come back and they ask me for advice and the same thing happens again. It's messy. And then I go, I don't want to be around this person because they suck my energy, right?
Yeah.
No, they're not sucking my energy. I am putting all my energy into their space because I'm trying to help them. So the benefit for me of losing my space was that I was thinking I was being helpful, and I'm not.
Hmm.
And for multiple reasons. One, I'm wasn't in my own body. So I was leaving my body open as an energetic target. I was draining, giving my energy away as a gift, thinking that was helpful because I had more strength. I knew what was going on, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's not helpful. I need my strength, because I can't keep helping people if I keep losing my energy, right? I'm not Capitan in my body. I'm out in someone else's space, being a passenger, going around, going through what they're going through, and so I constantly have this person on my mind because I can't let go of them, right? And they won't call me for days and days and days because I'm already in their space. I'm crowding them. So
Hmm.
that's not helpful, right? And I want to talk to this person. So then there's the it benefited me. This is what I mean by asking yourself, how is it serving you? How is it serving me to go into someone else's space and lose my space, lose my sovereignty, lose my body, I'm losing here. I'm not winning, and I think I'm being helpful. What it served me was what I realized was that I wanted to be helpful. And that's where I felt like people would like me if I got help. I was helpful.
Right.
So that's how it was serving me because people did. They came to me for advice, and I felt like I was important, right? Now, there's a really messy way to go about that. So, having learned that I need to stay center in my body, stay home in my body, in my personal space, is probably one of the best tools that we can teach ourselves how to do. Because from this place, from this throne, from this podium, we can see so much more and be a little bit more neutral and have more space for ourselves to choose better reactions, make better decisions from being sovereign and centered in our own bodies, and letting go of the lies that doesn't serve. How does that serve? And it wasn't serving either one of us.
Hmm.
So to be very conscious about intention again, where I put my intention was to help this person. My attention went into their space. My energy followed that attention and intention, and I made a mess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So taking that back to your original question about vampires and people who suck energy, that's what they're doing, on the reverse in a very more negative way. I was trying
Oh,
to be
right.
helpful,
Right.
but they're doing it in a more negative way. So, I hope that answers that question.
Wow. Really interesting. That kind of goes back to what we were discussing about creating a sort of win-win for both parties and allowing
Yeah.
the divine to be in between our interactions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I
I hope
like it.
so.
Yeah, I like that. So, why don't you describe to me your a day in the life, like how, because it seems like your experience is so far kind of like, if I don't, I mean, I'm pretty sensitive, and I have times where I just want to run away and just hermit and not talk to anyone or see anyone. And so, I mean, you must feel like that sometimes. And I mean, is that why you live in the mountains? Because you just,
Um, oh yeah, no, I hear you. There are times where I've lost my space for whatever reason. All of us I mean, anybody who's doing any kind of energy work, anybody who's sensitive to energy, there's waves of how well your space is doing. What a, yeah,
that's
the
interesting.
Yeah. One of the things you asked for a tool earlier, and what's coming to mind right now is like just a lot of bubbles. Like when you're feeling so zapped and so full that you need to go and be isolated and be by yourself, just imagine anything that's on your mind or anybody or a situation or a work situation, whatever is bugging you. Imagine a big bubble out in front of you and let that go right into the bubble. Create as many bubbles as you want, create them as big as you want, And when they are full, you can do so many different things with them. You can imagine them floating away. You can pop them all. Just make sure they're very far away from you. Don't pop them in your own space. Otherwise, you'll make a big mess in your space again. You can imagine them going down water. You can blow them up. You can do whatever you want, however you want to get rid of them. Or you can just gently say, I want this to go back to where it belongs.
Right.
And that kind of helps decompress our personal spaces or our auric field of unnecessary energy. It was really helpful. It's a very simple tool. Again, just put it in a bubble and let it go. And really let it go. And then you'll feel so much better. I find that works a lot for me. Where if I'm just spinning on something, I'm like, oh, you know what? Out, 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 out. And I'll imagine a big bubble and I'll be like, go in the bubble. I've had it. And then it'll go in the bubble and it'll go away and I've got my space back. It's really nice. The reason why I prefer to live in the mountains is yes, I am incredibly sensitive to energy. And being in cities is just overwhelming for me. My nervous system gets so overstimulated and it can't ever rest because I'm picking up on everything that's going on. And, I can tune it out most of the time, but, I'm different every day. Some days are good, some days are not so good. I go through my own growth periods where I'm moving so much energy. I need to be isolated because I'm being reintegrated, reworked, unwrapped and rewrapped again in new ways. And I just need peaceful, quiet, positive energy to allow that process to happen and to integrate the shifts that are going on within myself. So I say, yeah, you need to go into the mountains. You need to go for a walk. Go for it. Take it. Do it. It's
So
helpful.
I'm gonna come visit you basically then. I'm gonna come hang out. We're gonna like hang out in the mountains and talk about this stuff.
Yeah. One of my favorite places, I love this place, is called the Star House. It's a temple based on sacred geometry, and it is energetically charged to be at a very high frequency. And it is a non denominational temple. And I'll tell you, there is such divinity and grace in that place. And the archangels are in there. And yes, I invite you to come up and visit that place with me. It's one of my
Wow,
favorite
that's
places.
sounds divine. Sounds pretty
Oh, it
amazing.
is. It really, really is.
Have you heard of there's an author it's Arthur E. Powell. He wrote a book called The Astral Body and Other Astral Phenomena. Very, very old book. I think it's like 1925, 1926, something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Uh-uh.
No, huh? It's probably one of the most like in-depth pieces I've read on, at what happens energetically and on the astral. It's a really good read. I highly recommend it. And it's from like the 19 friggin' 26 or something, and so
Yeah.
so long ago. So it's not filtered, and it doesn't have this mainstream kind of like taint to it, and there's a part in that book where he describes and he talks about like thought forms and how we're creating them constantly, and how to go back to kind of link back to what we were talking about, how when we think about a person, depending on how strongly that thought is charged, it's like a bubble or something kind of projects out, shoots at them, hits their field, and depending on their strength, depending on how strong they are, if they're less strong than you, they absorb what you've sent them, and if they're more strong, it bounces back and hits you. So it's a really, really interesting read. I was actually kind of wondering about that. He talks about kind of creating thought forms, which I have no plans on doing, but like creating these living kind of autonomous kind of things, and It gets kind of out there, but I wanted to know what you thought about this stuff, like demonology. Where are you at with non-physical beings? Do you have encounters? Do you pick? I mean, it sounds like you pick up on this stuff every day. So
You remember the movie what is that, Sixth Sense?
yeah.
I see dead people. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I pick up on a lot of that stuff. Um, that was a really great movie for me. I was like, oh, yeah, what? Wow, right? Because you never expect that ending, and that was just like nice that somebody put that out there. Um, I wish they hadn't done it in such a scary form, but that's how it feels sometimes. Is that scary? In the beginning when you start to get used to it. But I'm off on a tangent. Um, yeah, no, I agree. When you think of someone, depending on how strong the energy is that you have, whether it be positive or negative, attached to that thought about this person, it goes right out to them like a trajectory, what is it called? Tractor beam.
Hmm.
It finds them, hits them, and if they you can look at it in one sense. If they like you and you are sending them like, I really like this person, they're going to pick up on that and they'll send I like you back, right?
Mm, hmm.
If you like them and they're like, oh no, why is that? I wish I wasn't thinking about this person, like, or they're nervous about liking you, or, there's so many varied reactions that person can have. More likely than not, they're going to call you because they picked up on your phone call, your energetic phone call, and went, hey, what's going on? I was just thinking about you.
Right. Right.
Right? That happens a lot. That's typically what that is when someone sends something out. And it's true. If someone's holding their space strong enough, if they are in their bodies, if they are senior, sovereign, and centered, they won't take on a whole lot of energy from other people. They'll get the ping,
Hmm.
or the poke, as Facebook puts it,
Mm.
the energetic poke, but it'll kind of wash off, and they can decide what they want to do with it or what not to do with it. Um, you know, that's kind of how that goes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. That that again connects back to everything we've been talking about, especially since, because of like this shift in awareness, we are more conscious of these things. We're picking up more and more and more. Yeah, you were just thinking about me. I felt you think about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're having this conversation. We're saying the exact same thing, and we're our mouths are moving, and we're saying the exact same thing. We're
Yeah.
connected. We're all sort of connected in this like sort of grid thing.
Yeah.
So let's get into non-physical beings. Let's get into
Ah.
deities, and let's get into, I mean, what would you term them? Would you call them archangels? Would you call them demons? Would you call them aliens? Um, I'd really like to know more.
Okay. Well, gosh, depending on who shows up, I might call them an archangel. I might call them a demon. I might call them an alien. It really depends on who shows up, because you can. Um, it depends on who shows up, is what it is. Who got invited or who decided to drop in for a little something something. Um,
Okay, so
you know.
your last deity encounter. Let's hear that.
Oh, my last deity encounter. I will share a story that a friend of mine and I have been um, really enlightened on, and I let me explain that. So, we all know about Lucifer, right? And this is one of, your classic demons, if you will. If you're looking from a negative perception,
Hmm.
if you're looking from the old paradigm, if you're looking and buying into whole, oh, an archangel was so jealous about humanity that God said that's wrong and threw him down on earth. And how bad is earth for an archangel to be thrown down to? Really? Like, okay, let's throw him down to earth because that's the worst place that he could possibly be, right? And so he's pissed off at God and he goes around and he starts terrorizing humanity, which is supposed to be, according to the Bible, is God's favorite creation, right?
Hmm.
That's a fantastic negative story. If you buy it, well, most of us have bought it for a long, long time. But Lucifer's name, Lucifer was the most beautiful, energetic, right hand angel of God. He must have done something so bad to get thrown out of heaven if you're buying into that paradigm, right? Lucifer's name means morning star. Morning star is the brightest star in the sky, right?
Yeah.
Lucifer is the shining light in the dark. Let's take this perception, let's do a gradual shift in perception about Lucifer. So if we know his name is Morning Star and he's the brightest star and he's God's right-hand archangel closest to God, is that bad? That can't be bad, right? Why
Yeah.
would they name him Morning Star?
Relative. Yeah. Bad.
Relative
Good.
the
Right.
whole,
Right.
he's got legions of demons, and he's mean and he's evil and people are possessed by him and la 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 la, you know okay. Yes, there are some nasty evil beings out there, but there's multiple reasons for those too, and I don't buy into the fact that Lucifer's got legions of these evil beings.
Hmm.
Let's shift this. Yeah, I know, right? It's a big one. It's a big one in the consciousness of humanity because that one has been a long running story. Let's take it another step.
Okay.
So if Lucifer, it means morning star, right? We have Archangel Michael. We have a whole legion of archangels. I'm just going to keep it simple by sticking to Raphael, who's the healer, Gabriel, who's the communicator, the messenger of God, Archangel Michael, who's the sword of truth carrier, who's a protector, and Archangel Uriel, who is kind of like, they've got multiple purposes, not as big and strong as the other ones, but let's just stick to those. Um, she, that one tends to be more of nurturing and more home based, more kind of humanly form, if you will, has stuff to do with that. I haven't worked a whole lot with Uriel. I've worked enough with them, but not a whole lot. Anyways, so there's this big, huge crew of archangels, right?
Hmm.
I have a friend who part of her guides her guides is a council of the archangels, and Lucifer happened to have shown up. And we're
Hmm.
like, and she was like, oh, oh my God, Lucifer's my, what does that mean? She's freaking out because of
Yeah.
all this, fear around
Oh yeah.
Lucifer.
Yeah.
But when she sees him as a bright light, just like all the other ones. Now, me, I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Why are you showing up? What are you doing? So we get from him that he's here to help. And we're like, both of us are still kind of hesitant, right? Like, all right, we'll see how this goes. Um, because I have had experiences with nasty demons and nasty beings all my life on and off, and I know how to get rid of them. So I was like, okay, if he is, bullshitting us, I'll get rid of him. Not a problem.
Hmm.
So took it with a grain of salt that he showed up. He showed up to her the other day in the most amazing gift. And this kind of goes back to our choices. So if you choose from your ego, you choose to create from your own energy, not the divine light, Lucifer will show up and give you exactly what you want. And you'll end up being the cold hearted CEO, power hungry, greedy, heartless, typical, stereotypical, jerky, person in power.
Mm-hmm.
right? You'll get the power that you want, you'll make money off of it, but you will not be in alignment with the divine. It's your choice, right? Here we go back to the free will thing again. You have that choice, or you can choose to create from the divine light. What are you going to choose? You can choose to have it be in alignment with your higher self for your purpose for being here, and He will gladly help you because He's a creator being. What do you want to create? You want to create heaven on earth, or you want to create personal hell? What do you want? That's His purpose. He can give you the light, which is His name, or He can give you the dark, which is your choice. What do you want?
Okay, just to make this clear, I don't recommend anyone call Lucifer or any of that. Just I don't recommend that. I don't think that's a good idea. But maybe that's my ego talking. I just I don't know. Yeah, you're right. There is a lot of stigma behind that name, and Satan, Lucifer. Yeah, it bugs me out. It's
Right, right. And that's the best example I could give you, that when I say there's a divine spark in everyone, no matter how negative they are, there's a divine spark in them. It might be teeny tiny, it might be the size of a penny, but it's in there. And your capacity to stay out of fear, to say hello to that, is so key in dealing with demons and dark beings and non physical entities. And you have a choice. And so he's the classic, he's the best example of that.
mhm.
Is like you can choose to, buy into the whole thing that he's negative, or you can choose to buy in that he's part of that troop. God created him for a reason.
Right.
And he created, because we go into the dark. And sometimes we have to go into the dark. And what do we choose in the dark? Do we choose our ego? Do we choose fear? Do we choose divine light? Like just keep blind faith? All the religions of the world are like blind faith, blind trust. Keep it in there, keep it in your heart, right? So that's the best example I can give you of like dealing with entities. Um, and that is the last one I've dealt with, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
is him and my own fears and worries, concerns, and paradigms and shifting. But like, honestly, when she told me about this story and told me what she got from him, I cried because it was beautiful, because um, he was able to show her his actual divinity and love that he is. And because she made the choice to create from the divine light, not from her ego, not from a power uh, uh, power
Interesting.
place,
Yeah.
right? So
So let's
yeah, that's a
let's
big one, but
yeah, let's
but
step back
that's
a little bit. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this, just because this is right now in the mainstream, and I'm guessing that you don't watch much of the news at all. And but if you haven't heard, there's this Ebola massive fear campaign, like scare the shit out of everyone, happening right now. And the market is tanking for the last week, and amid all these scares of Ebola. And if you want to go into the conspiracy side of things, I guess if you can keep a population afraid and away from this divinity that we're talking about, if you can keep them so scared that they're afraid to look into themselves to see God or divinity, you've won. I mean, they've won by doing that. They've won. You've already lost. I mean, you're so scared about getting this thing, and it's on the news, and you're watching the news every day, and you're just hooked to your TV. And wow, I mean, what are you doing, man? So this goes out to that's for the people who are buying into this campaign that it seems pretty obvious to me is just meant to scare the shit out of you. So I don't know. I really do, back to what we were kind of discussing at the beginning of the conversation. There is a shift happening. There is this sort of relativistic sort of moral shift where things like truth, love, all of those things are becoming more present, and they're more real, and I think the sooner that people start to accept that and just accept it, just kind of accept it within yourself, I think it'll just make it easier for everyone.
That would be so, that would be sweet if everybody could just accept it. But part of that fear conspiracy, and keeping, I've heard that theory, and I kind of hold it with a grain of salt, but I also kind of notice that there's a lot of credence to it, because most of our media now is entertainment based and it is fear based. It does nothing but put us into fear. And what does fear do? Put us out of our bodies. It makes us make decisions based out of our ego, not the divine light. And that's there, because there are beings that do not want us to go to the light. You're absolutely right on that. And unfortunately, they are in our government and they are in our media and they are have a lot of power right now, because what's happening is they're starting to lose their power. So they have to increase the negativity and they have to increase the fear in order to get your attention, right? Because it's a lot easier to go to the divine light and be positive, or as some people say, hippy dippy, into the new woo woo world, because it's positive. Everybody be positive, right? You hear this a lot. Everybody be positive. Yeah, love one another. It'll be great,
Yeah.
right? Well, yeah, there's some validity to that, but we also need to be grounded in ourselves and really be consciously aware of the choices that of what we choose to engage in. So if we choose to engage watching the television and getting our panties all bunched up about stuff that's being fed to us, that most of it is being manipulated anyways, where are you going to go? You're not going far with that. You're going to get into fear, and it's going to make you, not buy things. It's going to make you save your money. It's going to make you freak out. It's going to get you pissed off. It's going to make you change your job. It's going to, whatever that does, that's the intention. Because unfortunately, we all have a choice. We can choose to ascend. There's some of us that are going to choose. There's some of us who are kind of in the middle, got one foot in one world, one foot in the other. And there's those of us who absolutely refuse that this is all bullshit. You guys are a bunch of weird freaks. And I'm sticking with this over here and I'm not looking.
Hmm.
And that's free will.
Hmm.
And they have a choice. And there's always been that percentage across the board in humanity. It's just the soul's evolution. It's where they choose, it's what they choose. What do they want to learn? And that's what they're choosing. And
Wow, wow,
it is
Tiffany,
what it is.
you've made a lot of stuff make sense tonight. I really, I've been thinking about this stuff a lot, and it really does connect together, and the paradigm does make sense. So yeah, I mean,
Yay!
is there a place? Is there anything else that you want to like get in tonight, or how do you feel about this conversation?
Oh, I feel awesome about this conversation. This is great. It's so
Yeah.
much fun to talk about this stuff and kind of go there and push the edges a little bit, and stretch some consciousness a little bit here. Um, Gosh, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm just
I
excited.
definitely agree with you that there is an ascension, something protocol happening, and I feel like it's a wave, like a wave form that is coming at us, and I feel like our antennas are up, and they're kind of like going higher, so we're getting more and more sensitive to this thing that's about to happen, this thing that's about to hit us, and so I think there might even be a sort of limit of how many people can ascend, how many people the waveform can hold. So yeah, I mean the choice is yours. I mean, if you think that you would prefer to ascend in your lifetime, this is the time is now. I mean, it wasn't long ago before. I mean, this podcast was just an idea, and it's scaled up on a level that I couldn't have ever imagined, and I really feel like what we're doing here is helping people, and I really feel like conversations like this need to happen, and people are I think they're they're asking for this stuff. And so yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna have you on again, and
Thanks.
we're gonna talk more. Tiffany, you're amazing. Is there anything else? Is there a place that people can find your work?
Yes. I have a website. It's called www.essentiallifemedicine.com.
Okay, essentiallifemedicine.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can just go there and you have do they fill out a form to contact you? Are you offering readings, healings? Is that something that you're
All of
doing?
the above. I'm an acupuncturist of a specific type of acupuncture, so I can offer that. I am offering readings and healings. I typically have a like a special for the month at the bottom of the first page. They can feel free to call me. My phone number's on there, or they can do the contact form that's on the third page of the website, and that will go into my email. Feel free to go there and ask me questions. I love questions. That would be fun. Yeah.
Cool. I'm looking at the page right now. It looks legit. I like it. We'll definitely
Thanks.
have a link to it on the podcast description when we post this up. But yeah, Tiffany, I can't thank you enough. This has been amazing. We're definitely gonna have a round 2. And yeah, thank you so much. It's been really fun.
Thank you too. It's been an awesome time. My honor. Thank you very much.
So folks, you've heard it here. We're about to ascend, and if you'd like to get closer to that, just get to essentiallifemedicine.com. Get in touch with Tiffany. She will point you in the right direction. I'm Xavier. This is the Human Experience. Keep on keeping on.